Todd McGowan talks about how at the conscious level we want wholeness and homeostasis and we want peace, but the unconscious logic is the desire for desire itself, for dissatisfaction. And there's a certain sense in which every time we look for a commodity that will promise some sort of satisfaction, it does give us something in a disavowed way. What it gives us is dissatisfaction, and that's actually what we like. We actually like the fact that the product doesn't work, but we never realize that. So we're kind of duped, always looking for something that will satisfy, take away our lack, take away our despair. But there's a certain sense in which at an unconscious level, those are things that inspire us. But we don't notice that. And your work, and this is what's interesting as an artist, is in a sense your work attempts to bring that knowledge to the surface, to present the viewer with the truth that what really unifies us and what's really going on is a type of dissatisfaction, a type of lack. Something that the gaze, basically the Lacanian gaze, is the idea that we can be confronted with this disavowed knowledge in some way.
Yes, so something that I'm really interested in terms of film is how it works as a collective medium. So not only, it's a medium beyond the makers, beyond the audience, beyond the cinema. As I said earlier, film is almost a subject divided in and of itself, and it feeds back to us something about the way we are and the way we live. So in some senses it's a medium that aspires to totality and to realism, and in doing so it potentially has the capacity to show us something about the nature of society in a material sense, a sort of attempted global sense. But it also, because of the way it's contingently developed over history, the star system, the Hollywood model exploiting desire, it tells us something about how we desire. And desire is really what makes us human. And desire comes from a point of division. It's not only generated by lack, but it is lacking, it can never be fulfilled. So this contingent history of cinema that uses this libidinal essence of humanity and feeds it back to us and tells us stories that are provocative and evocative and are to do with going after a goal. This is to do, I guess, with the fact that cinema developed at a contingent point in history related to American capitalism. And of course, we can criticize this conscious model of American capitalism in terms of desire. But what cinema can do is it can show us the lie of the promise. So whilst we consciously make films and we're told as filmmakers that we have to have a clear goal and a protagonist going after a goal, and audiences are potentially used to a subject achieving a goal, whether they achieve the goal or not, there's something that's fed back to us more than the intended message of the film on the part of the makers. So in a sense, like sex, the French call the orgasm the little death, because after you've had sex, you always have a death in your desire. You're suddenly shown how foolish and how impossible this desire is once you've reached climax. There's no there.
Yep.
And this is in a sense why sex is so traumatic. It's traumatic for various different reasons, and it can be if it's not wrapped up in fantasy.
Yep.
But if you watch a film and the goal is achieved, we might in a moment have a sense of relief or satisfaction, but as soon as we leave the cinema, there's a death in our desire. In another way, we can build ourselves up through the narrative, following this subject who goes after their desire. And then in the moment of relief, when they are shown the consequence of their desire, we can consciously show perhaps that all of this was for nothing. We can think of The Wizard of Oz. This is a very, clear version of this, where these characters go after a goal, and it's only in getting the goal that they realize that there's no wizard there. But they have learned through the process of the goal, through the transference of imagining that the wizard can fulfill them, they've managed to learn something about themselves.
Yes.
So it shows not only that, so this is not a point of view that's saying that desire is pointless or ridiculous or foolish. It's the the strongest force in the universe and the most important force in the universe, and it's what makes us human. And even though there's a lack in desire, it's the process of going through and investing in something
Yes.
that makes life worth living.